Welcome back, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna try to rapid fire some shallograms and hopefully be a little more lively. I don't know. So let's jump in. We're gonna look at shallograms that are caught my attention today. So some just the anomalous shape here. I didn't take pictures of these. This is interesting. Almost like another spiral, like a terminal kind of thing on this one. Okay, I just mostly also that. Just mostly wanted to point out this and how anomalous it is just in general. Okay. This one I just pulled up. Haven't closed it. Let's move past it though. It's just, I didn't think about it yet, and I'm not sure what to say about it, so let's just look at this one. Very odd. Like, if this is just a shell, why is the shell doing this? It doesn't really make sense. These, like, spaced, almost like chambers that will come across as we go forward. Looking into it there, this little V shape here, with smaller V shape there. Also, it seems to have like a fold in, like a current flow was intensely going over there and depressing the rock and flowing into it here and creating the ammonite shape. I know, very lively. It's impressive. It's honestly next level. Okay. This one I just wanted to point out because it kind of, I don't know if I took a picture of this. I probably pointed it out before. But essentially, if we follow this way, around, like, around, it kind of points to here, and then suddenly we're, like, at the next rung. So it's kind of like a spiral is there. And then it kind of disappears, but then it looks like there's maybe another rung, that maybe goes down there, and then out to the next rung. So it has a, unlike most ammonites, or shallograms, when there's an ammonite structure like here, the top of it doesn't usually also form a spiral shape. It tends to form more of just a mound. This case, it formed like a little nub and a spiral around it. It makes me think of the nubs in like ancient constructions, which brings to mind this. I saw this today. I responded. I don't know what just happened, but let me just say this one I talked about in my last video. I talked about this in my last video with regard to this, and then very soon after I came across the original image there. That ancient alternative view posted on Twitter from Aboriginal symbols. I'm like, just the bar with the hoops to be bar with the hoop, and then this one kind of becoming like closed off in a particulate almost. I don't know what to make of this exactly. in this case, but in relationship to this. But to me, it's like related. Okay. Also, this was kind of funny. this was getting posted on shared today. I saw it getting passed around. Several Twitter posts about it, which I appreciate. People pointing it out, and in mass, the amount of people that posted it made me curious. How, like, it's phys.org. New research puts it there. Yeah, well, you know what? We'll just make the universe older. That all these things that are disproving the Big Bang's interpretation of the age of the universe, like, it's becoming phys.org, like, part of the conversation that, well, kind of need to extend it, and here's someone like proposing a way to extend it, so let's take that seriously. Rather than like alternatives that people are proposing, like myself, that are larger spectrum of alternatives that start a different like starting point. This is pretty much starting at, we accept that we know everything so far, and where the things at the cutting edge need some adjustment. But really just at the cutting edge, post the understanding that the Big Bang happened. Okay, so those are those. Here's one. Okay. I took a bunch of pictures during. So I kind of compiled all the ones that sort of have like a ammonite shape on one side. The other side of this one is like a bowl of matrix. But I thought this was interesting. I don't know if I noticed it before. There's this divide here, dividing this portion. Possibly another divide somewhere. This divide here, though. This divide here, like a third each. That are happening. Subtle dendrites in there. Less subtle up here. But yeah, so this one's got an actual hole in the region of the center. This one just is like the others, so I included it. Another one with a hole, and then like a bowl. Whole bowl. Bowl. Hole. Bowl. Hole. This one also bowl hole. Little pores in there. Little pores in there. Bowl hole. Bowl hole. Okay, so those ones I wanted to bring up for the rest of these, because these are pretty much just ones I didn't feel like saving that are related to this. So here's another one that kind of bowl or hole. We can see something is just gone here. We see the chakra, we don't see the overlaying material like over here. It's like seeing into the bottom of it. And then this one, interestingly, looks like the top, like what's typically I would call the top. Like there's a bowl that's much more bowl-like, in which the ammonite shape tends to sit. And then there is a top that's connected from, like a connection from the bottom to the top that then like overlays in a more, like the snake one, that's just like a good example how this is. It has this big bottom and then the smaller, it's more like this one than like this one in the image here. It's more like the top. It makes me think that the flow outward was so substantial that it physically separated the rest of the matrix away from the ammonite itself at that point, and just like took away this piece of ammonite. And maybe I could find one. I know I have a picture, I just don't know where it is. This is probably too far. Almost assuredly too far. It is. Kind of like that, but it has like a piece. There it is. Kind of like this one, where it has like the negative missing, the bottom piece missing that got like pushed away and separated, but it also has a piece of the ammonite itself still attached to the matrix with the nucleus in this one's case. But then the bowl top, big and about the size of the ammonite, smaller, because it's basically draining through and then overflowing it back to the top from the bottom by like so much flow down that when it goes to the side, it goes into pressure and goes back up and wraps around and just flows in a cycle that leads to top sides. Okay. So I feel like this is actually the top side here, even though at this point it's kind of the bottom side because we're looking at this face. So it's the opposite side as the bottom in a way, but it's kind of interesting to think about the potentials from a physics standpoint, what that could mean in terms of like how particles change and decay and things. Like maybe that's related. Something. This one's got all sorts of details. I don't know what to make of it all. Like the divide over there, kind of across from one another, that are more substantial than the others, although I guess it kind of looks like these. But yeah, just another drain. And if we go through, that's possibly the top. This is possibly the top. I'm not sure. It's likely it happens both sides. Chunk off here. Like it blew this out. And just erupted and broke it off. That's an interesting face there. Oh no, so on the top of the last one, there's squiggly lines that are of this nature that don't like belong there, by the way. I forgot to point it out. I think I closed that one. Did I close it? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, then this one. Squiggly lines. And then just a big bowl. So this is probably the top side. And this is probably the bottom face. So in this case, I guess like the top side couldn't really drain through, so it ended up just like more so etching the material away and pushing a boundary over here even to like create this mound within the material while a void here. These are just anomalous. They don't really make sense from a fossilization standpoint. Another one with a little piece there remaining from the broken off side. Let's see. This looks like it could be either, honestly. By the way, this is. This face looks like the top. And like it's missing a chunk that broke here, around this way. Like all that face is gone. But it was there, but it broke away, including what was in here, forming the rest of the ammonite. And then it was still like in the currents post-breaking, so it got re-etched, surface smoothed, and all the nuance like completed. Also in there, it looks pretty interesting. These little teeth in there. Okay, here's another one. This one's interesting. I'd call that a top, by the way. This is. Let's see. Let's go up to this very first one. I have this one. They're very similar. So they don't have to be like distinctly different. That could be the bottom. It's hard to say which face was which in this instance. Possibly that would help. That this is there might point to it having been the top face, because I don't think this happens on the bottom face as much, although actually we're going to see something that is definitely on the opposite face. That's a little odd in one of the pictures sooner or later that I got to actually add. So I was on like 429.8. So this one. Yeah, I was on this one. And I took some pictures to add to the drain list because of this one. And so that's kind of why I started talking about it earlier. Okay, so inside here, we're going to look at this detail a lot. Well, a little bit more than the rest of the stone before we move on. Okay, it's got little, just like folds, kind of like a finger. Like actual, like knuckles. Like knuckles. And then, like, continuations of the finger around. Okay. Really visible here. Generally in an ammonite shape, like a extended one here, but like a void of an ammonite, but with like these things protruding into the adjacent region. This over here. Two here. That's a little odd for fossils to do, I'd say. If it were to be fossils, of course. Okay, and then this one I thought was similar as well. Lots of chambers. Lots of little chambers in this that are getting some cross section over there. Over here somewhat. Very interesting. Very squiggly down there. That looks kind of hexagonal. I don't know. What's up with these shapes? Why would a shell do that? Why would a shell do that? It doesn't make any sense. It's just not observed, not accounted for, not earnestly considered. That's the only way this is still claimed to be the result of a shell, creature's shell. A creature's shell. Because it's not. It's the result of current flows. Okay. So I just got to 430. We're going to go backwards. Starting here. So distinctly has the drainage points etched through, where like once it etched through enough, like the pressure could be relieved, so it got into the chamber, down and in, and was able to like not continue to etch, but it did so in a pixelated way through the chambers, I guess. This is about a half circle, maybe a little more, a half turn. Maybe 3/4, if that's included. I don't know if something's going on to that one as well. Which would then be like, here's an inner ammonite. And then an outer leg that's like a spacer, a separator between the inner ammonite, and then, although this one connects through here, and an outer ammonite that are like one unit, but also one unit with a separator to like create segments of the unit that energetically exist, and sometimes are separated, sometimes are together, sometimes show signs of their separation, such as this, or just not being there, like that one. That's interesting. It doesn't really look... It doesn't look like it has done what it like typically would do. Let's go back to that one I was just looking at here. I think it's starting to etch this like let's find a good one. A crisp one. There we go. Like this. It's starting to etch like that. And like that. but it didn't do it. Like, it more so did it here, but it really only put a tiny thread over here. So we see, like, the beginnings of it happening, but we don't see the feature, like, formed. We see it in the process of being formed. That's my thoughts on that. What is likely to be going on with this. And then that's the bottom face, which kind of has a beginning of like a large chakras, smaller lobes, 2 lobes that connect back. Like over there, maybe? I'm not sure. The flat face. I think it's kind of square. I don't know. There's only those 3 pictures. Okay, let's go to this one. Lots of drainage holes. Distinctly drainage holes through the shallogram. That then erupted, I guess, out this side of it. And not so much like out of the bottom, so when it drains through, it manages to find a way to reach this side more so, maybe. Or it just like removes material to make space and like shoves it out this way. Like scoops it out in a spiral that removes it also. In the process over time by just the turbulence of it all. It's like gets the material out as soon as it gets like enough distance from the location it's stuck in, it can be moved elsewhere. Very odd shaped, not regular, very irregular. Irregular? I'm emphasizing irregular when it's an I. Okay. Definitely can see the currents wrapping around this stone. Definitely present. Also there, some ways possibly doing something of this nature. It's not so clear. Another one. So this is why I started at the end, because the final ones I took were largely related. So this has like a chamber-esque type thing. It's pretty much removing the material but leaving behind this really fine looking, like, just black shale, just fine grained and smooth in this kind of smiley face eyeball over here shape. Smiling snake. And then these anomalies over here that don't really make sense from a fossil standpoint. There's something going on there that we can see better there. I'm not sure what to make of it. Still possibly to do with the shape here. Like if there's a current generally flowing into here, it's possible that like from where the low point is, it's flowing across and running into there. And like especially etching into that location because of how the rock's surface is low and high. And it just has a bowl and then the ammonite shape that's just beginning to be formed. Doesn't like fully form. Doesn't have the material to. Possibly as it etches it, it could like transport material there to coalesce it under the pressures and currents, but it didn't. Another one missing its center. Like a drainage went through in an ammonite shape. I know it's an ammonite, so it's kind of like any piece of it's gonna be an ammonite shape. I get that concept, but it's probably relevant. Whatever's going on there, I'm pretty sure that's in the rock, not just like a thread. That's like a piece of cloth on it. This is very interesting in here. The smooth face. And then what I would again call the top. This looks like the bottom, like how it has all this material here. Whereas here it doesn't. It actually has like a full-blown shape. Here it's smooth. Here it's not. And then it has material at the center hiding the ammonite shape. A matrix type thing just there. So this is probably what was the top. And this is what was the bottom here. The bottom face. But it like had so much water coming through and not material other than that it was able to just like weaken the structure enough to just cut it out. Literally just cut the ammonite shape out and redistribute its components, possibly cut it out with the material that was there. It does look kind of... It's probably after the fact that it started to etch in here more than this. Another one. Lots of chambers. Lots of chambers. This one kind of similar to the other one where it has a inner chamber here of kind of like a ammonite shape of this one of the voids, but then within the voids is another like ammonite shape, and then outside of the voids is like a half stretch of not voids, and then maybe a half stretch of voids or something. Like there's something going on here with the way these are forming voids and not voids. Possibly protons and neutrons, but also other reasons, not just like chemistry and things on that type of nature, but more in just shallograms and how they work. It's possible there's like a feeding leg through from here to feed to this one, and then between that leg is voids, and then past it is voids, and then this chamber held material that was fueling into here that was going through the ammonite shape downward, so kind of going down a drain here, but replenishing this like chakra region from here, which maybe was fed back from over here or something, or from over here maybe down into here, something to feed it. Just a thought. Okay, let's keep going. Another picture of it. Very cool. This looks to be a component of it as well. It definitely goes out real far. So like all of this is part of it. This looks a pretty, I would call this anomalous. Unclear for certain. This little tab thing on the side, it looks to have influenced the shape of the surrounding etchings of waves along the boundary of the ammonite shape. This thing is incredible. Oh my god, do you see that? Just along the waves. Oh. Oh my god. And then across its back is that. So we go back here. It looks like we can see a crack going that way. Probably there. I think it was there and there. Maybe there. Let's try to find it. Okay, here's the tab. Here's the thin side. So between the thin side and the tab flat face is a middle thing that goes down to the tab side. So between this side, so around here is a middle thing that goes down this way and comes up here. Okay, so we see it there. So that's the one this way, down this way. And that crack is pretty much for where this is. And then the other crack here, it might actually point to like a little bit to the side and not actually centered, like right there maybe. Something to do with current flows that then were participating on this face as well and influencing the outcome. Okay, let's keep going. Very nothing too crazy yet. Interesting. Now we're starting to see some details. Wow, more chambers. Just etched empty chambers intermixed with these perfectly stable and unetched matrix material segments with a connector. So this is what really made me think of that concept for this one, that maybe there's a connector through here. Was seeing this one where it's much more defined, like this center ammonite shape. Spiral eddy. This center eddy is fully disconnected from the outer portion of the eddy that has material like it, except for through one chamber that is full of material that then connects to the very final chamber over here that has material, and then all of this separates. As well as here. Like, this is so important. Whatever's happening here, where it built a bridge and a separator, positive, negative, or maybe neutron, proton. Really not sure what to make of this from a chemistry sense, from an atomic sense of what exactly it represents. Still thinking about things of that nature. Definitely come across chambers and come to like strong belief that it's likely that they're proton type representations when they're like this. And this would give me the suspicion that they're more neutron like when they're like this. This thing is incredible, though. Definitely a boundary there in some way. Weird shapes to this out here that are not normal. Not symmetrical. Just kind of flowing. Also, it looks like it extends over there. What's going on there? Like it goes further. Right there. Can't really tell. I guess we're looking at this angle in this picture. So there's probably this structure over here. You can kind of see, or maybe it's over here, because this looks subtle. These lines look subtle up here. So maybe this wraps all the way around to here. And then ran into resistance of some other current that influenced this here. Also, we can see like a slope to the rock there that maybe bends around. But like almost like a layer here, and then like a layer angled like this, like at this angle, and then at this angle, and then maybe layered sideways across like the other ones we've seen in layers in the last video. This one, ready for this? A sphere out of the like supernova. The chakra is just exposing the inner particle that's hidden behind the like waves of debris being emitted from around the particle, because this probably had more of a disk that is now gone, and like this is what remains in this location and possibly field into the here. And that's the rest of it. Whatever's going on there is pretty interesting. I don't know. But that is just... Okay. I don't want to keep going backwards because I got through the ones that I was talking about relating to drains. So let's go back forward. I'll just do this one real quick though, because this is pretty crazy. Let me pull this up. I was thinking about just going through the ones I found today. I forgot all about being lively. Spray nozzle, this thing. Okay guys, check it out. You see this spray nozzle here? It sprays. It's like a flow spraying. Like a nozzle. Like a spray nozzle. That's the best I got. But then in some instances, it produces more of like this. But notice here, parallel pretty much, just kind of getting larger. Like starting at a smaller radius and just getting larger as it goes out this way and out this way. But like parallel. Like this. very much like this. But this one starts out that way, then it starts bending around the rock. And if we check it out, it goes this way, it starts bending, bending, as it bends around the rock. Over here is more like the other one. So it does have that feature, both sides. But interestingly, here between it, my thought is, like, usually this segment can break off and form chakras between them, and then this would have formed an ammonite, like, which is why it's doing this, because it can form ammonites, but it didn't break off, so it didn't form an ammonite, but it did create this, like, tension here, while this, like, lack of tension by the smallness of this bond between the two sides. Like, if it was bigger and more material on this face hold between this, then this probably would have stayed more stable and not done this arcing. Like, it really just folds. Truly incredible. Speaking of incredible, boop. Interesting little etches into the rock there that are not, they're not the ammonite. Like, if this is an ammonite, the ammonite doesn't have that in it. And yet they're the same nature as these things are. Like, they might as well be these things, except for they're not straight in this instance, or they're not in the same angle in this instance. So they're just functionally, like, not part of ammonites, but clearly part of ammonites in terms of currents being involved. Okay. And this is going on, so this is kind of like the pieces of ammonites. The chunks that we've been coming across, like the chambers. This is probably like a larger ammonite chamber that was maybe vacated of its material. Like, this chunk got broke away and became what it is now by being exposed to currents that then induced this ammonite shape in it. If we keep going around, we see the chakra there. And then on this face, the smoother face, I think that's that face. No. No, there's that mark. So I'm not sure what's going on over here. It doesn't look like there's an adjacent chakra. It might have broken off. Like, a chunk might be missing here that had a chakra on it. But the chakra is not there. So that's odd. And then this is why it's like a piece of one, but it also looks to be like the last piece, like it ran into resistance of another adjacent system within the chambers, maybe another chamber where they interacted. Maybe this is not usually there. Like, if we go to pieces of ammonites, like it's very much like this one. Like, there's not like something bending these like in the other one. There's that chunk. There's those pieces. So it's almost like one of the smaller pieces at the end. Like this one. But it's influenced by this adjacent system, making this not like make any sense. This isn't like the shape that it should be. If it's a shell, it should be like this one. This one's like abnormal because it's current induced. Also, I know I don't think I mentioned this all yet. But, yeah. I don't know what to make of it exactly. We can see the chakra. So it's possibly related to the chakra. Possibly some kind of current was just flowing into the stone, created a shallogram, an ammonite shape here, but then continued through. After etching the rock enough by creating this ammonite, it actually etched its way out. There's a crack that way, and then a crack that way. Another one with just abnormalities, like they don't make sense. These teeth just kind of 4 teeth, and then just continue in this straight line, and then over here just continue. This thing has some teeth to it, but it's totally abnormal. Teeth, more normal. This is like the ones that have chambers at times. Like this one. Just it didn't actually do this. It's just more subtle. Possibly different materials as well that maybe wouldn't have done that anyway. But then here's its other face with just maybe some chakras and small and large lobes of an ammonite shape forming possibly there. After that, just some features that are hard to say from just one picture. 2 pictures really, but we're not really able to see the rock in its entirety. I guess it's pretty well covered. It would be nice to see it from the sides. Let's see, maybe current going down this way. One or vice versa. This would suggest something that way. So maybe it divided. I don't know. This one, I just took this picture. Hilarious. I didn't even notice because of the gold shape. I was like, oh, yeah, unique gold shape. Didn't notice what the unique gold shape might have been. Okay. This one's got layers. Layer, disc type thing. Layer. Down here, possibly a layer in the middle there. So this one's got layers. Bunch of ammonite shapes distributed, interacting in ways probably that that's there. Right, where is that? Maybe it's... Anyway. Okay, let's see. So that's one phase of it. This one's pretty complex. Nice smooth chakras. Not really differentiated. Possibly because it just didn't have other materials as much in this, the materials of this rock and what was its surroundings, because they're not all shalograms are composed of the same materials exactly. Definitely many colored. So at least like the mixture is not as identical. Okay, let's see. So I gotta go like 430 to 455-ish or something. Okay, this one's real interesting because it has that feature that's kind of like the current flow flowing in, but then it like runs into resistance and just eddies there and produces a chakra, seemingly. Here's another chakra. More. Here's a chakra which seems to have another like lobe off of it, like chakras here and here, just from that angle. I've never seen that. That would be incredible if that's the case, but so we can clearly see this just flow in atop the chakra like one of those wrenches over top of like a screw or a bolt, nut, bolt. Like it just goes right atop. And then a layer, like a secondary layer here in this portion. Seems to have some feature through here. Something going on here, like a splashing over this way. I don't know. It comes in this way and exhausts out this way. Possibly out this way and then back in here too. I don't know. Still looks possibly like a double ammonite shape here with chakra possibly. Probably not formed so much as to be distinctly like that. That would be too incredible. Okay, we see a chakra here. We see a chakra here, but not there. But they're so connected. Look how connected they are. Like right adjacent. And then this one is like right near that current coming in here. So like if it goes over this way, swirls, or I guess maybe it's, we can tell which way it's rotating by how it splashed over here instead of this way. Maybe. And created like a wave up this way. And then like a maximum boundary there, and then another eruption this way that kind of maybe even like drilled in there to a degree. Definitely has some feature like that. And then just filled the pressure enough to go back this way into that one, creating that chakra, which then fed into this one across, while this fed over into this one and fed across that way, and fed into these two, I guess, and fed across that way too, like into this one and out, across and across, while this interacted here, creating those ammonites there. We can definitely see some lines going that way, like this here as well as back here. And possibly there, going that way. Like from this ammonite to this ammonite. From this ammonite to this ammonite. And maybe across there, then from here, going across in there, down that way. I guess that's there. So maybe... does look possibly related to some current flow that would be along that boundary, especially within this ammonite shape. Just some teeth down there. Oh my god, these stones. Their detail is beyond a work of art. It's that looks kind of like ammonite features there. So there might be a third one. Like here. It does kind of look like it has it in that one. I don't see it at all in this. But maybe. Kind of possibly a chakra there. Don't see it in there. This thing's incredible. Oh my god, look at this. Around this ammonite, right? A hexagon, straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line. Part of a hexagon, but which reminds me of is it in here? This one reminds me of this one. It even has 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's kind of hexagonal too. This is kind of hexagonal in part again. It's incredible. Okay, guys, I gotta go. Thanks for hanging out. 'Twas a pleasure. Till next time. Peace out.